Colin Kaepernick. White adoptive mom said he looked like a thug wearing braids to school. So Cap's mom said he looked like a thug wearing braids. Accuses his white adoptive parents of problematic upbringing and perpetuating racism. Oh my, haven't read the book yet. I guess it's coming out, another book or something. So this is like the beginning of the promo tour, I assume. Let's read through it before we get to it. Colin Kaepernick is accusing his adoptive parents of being problematic during his childhood in a new interview with CBS News. The former NFL football player explains the struggles that he had to face growing up with a white family in his new graphic novel, Change the Game. Told you. I know my parents loved me, but there were still very problematic things that I went through, Kaepernick expressed to CBS News. I think it was important to show that, no, this can happen in your own home and how we move forward collectively while addressing the racism that is being perpetuated. One particular moment that stood out to him was when he was in high school and told his parents he wanted braids, just like the former NBA star Allen Iverson. And his mother responded, "He's getting what rolls?" I don't even know how to say it. "He's getting what rolls?" Kaepernick said after styling his hair that way. His mom told him his hair was, quote unquote, not professional, and he, quote unquote, looked like a little thug. Okay, let's unpack this one. All right, first and foremost, your ungrateful sounding ass. Let me stop. I know his parents, his adoptive parents, are thinking, this motherfucker, he's so ungrateful. Like, you bringing all this hell and all this stuff up now. Like, we didn't do our best then and we didn't talk through that problem then. You're ungrateful, Luma. Your parents didn't even want you. And I took care of you, took you in, and this is how you treat me? It really takes me back to like that when NWA tried to do their reunion in that Dr. Dre voice. He said, "I did all this shit, and this the motherfucking thanks I get. Hello." Y'all remember that song? "I started this gangster shit." Kaepernick's like, golly, y'all didn't do it right. Y'all didn't do it perfectly. And every parent ever is like, duh. That was the attempt, but obviously that wasn't going to be the result. Parents like, "I did all this shit, and this the thanks I get. Hello." All right, my wife's adopted. I don't know how that helps me in this situation, but working through some of her trauma is interesting. It's a different dynamic than me, born to my mother and father in a nuclear family home. Different than my sister, Tiki, the one I always talk about, who actually grew up with my dad, but her and I, our mom. Right. So we only shared mama together, but that was my daddy. That wasn't your daddy. And I saw how that made her feel a little different than me. So I got my mom and dad, and my sister only got her mama, and Kaepernick didn't have either. And my wife didn't have either. Let's talk about it. Okay, so this is really about, is that racism that she said you're going to look like a little thug or something else? Of course, you know, I think it's something else. Because black people say that stuff too, and I don't know how racist you could be on your own, but if you can, well, then that redefines what racism is. Let's do it. Black people are like, "Boy, you looking thuggish. You looking crazy. You looking gangster," whatever it may be. We'll talk through it. I think that symbols and style, attempt to represent a person or a group of people. But let's explore the sociological why, right? Style, symbols. Cats actually wear stuff to act like they're that thing. So let's just give it a tagline. You are not it, but you look like it. You are not it, but you look like it. You are not a little thug, but you look like a little thug. What does that mean? And is that racist? Or what is it really intended? Okay. I remember growing up, and the first time I got, I guess, around this topic, around this type of information was when I heard Ice Cube. When I was living in LA, right? I'm a youngster, and Ice Cube is representing like gangster. He had to portray gangster, not just live gangster or see gangster stuff, but now you're an artist. Nobody knows how you live unless you portray it, right? And what did Ice Cube famously say? "I wear a Raider hat, t-shirt, and khakis." And when he said that, I was like, why is he saying that? Oh, because that's the uniform of gangsters. Now, I don't know which one came first. Was cats really wearing Raider hats, t-shirts, and khakis and banging? Or when you were starting to bang, you said, "I got to wear a Raider hat, t-shirt, and khakis." But let me tell you, There were a trillion cats in LA, and it obviously took off nationwide wearing Raider hats, t-shirts, and khakis. Why? To show that they were gangster, even those that weren't gangster, right? First jacket I ever had, starter jacket. Guess what it was? A black Raiders jacket. I wasn't trying to be gangster, but I had on what the gangsters had on. You catch where I'm going with this? Okay. So if you're a gangster in LA at a time, you wore a Raider hat, t-shirt, and khakis. You also, at a time, may have had your pants sagging. At a time, may have had a bandana hanging. Now you really gangster. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. If you got a bandana on, you got the flag hanging, oh, you gangster. You crazy. Back in the 80s? Oh, hell no. That was a death certificate if you weren't really banging. A Pendleton. Remember those? Like, little checkers and stuff. You had on a Pendleton sagging with some khakis and a flag hanging? Man, don't even tell me you're not gangster. However, I wore a Pendleton before. In the house, I had flag. I never go outside that flag. But I had on khakis. Was I a gangster? Nope. But was I looking like a gangster? Hell yeah, I was, because my mama told me I was. My sister told me I was. They're like, what you doing trying to look gangster? Black people telling me that. Was that racist? No. Was it something else? Yes. Was it something else with Colin Kaepernick's parents? Let's see. So, I knew that you can rep something and look like something even if you weren't something, right? So then I started looking around for other ways to identify. I went through my little dancer phase. What was that? Well, somebody who had a high top fade, your kid and play. So I had the Big Daddy Kane curly top look, and then I looked more dancer, right? I had on the preppy look. You remember, like the button downs, the colorful cross-colored pants, flower shirt, the high top Big Daddy Kane kid and play. I'm preppy. I'm Will Smith, kind of, whatever you want to call that, right? A Living Color. Remember that? Or even A Different World. You look like one of those. But were you? I ain't go to school yet. I wasn't in college yet. I wasn't on no show like that. It's just like projections, right? Then you obviously know if somebody's wearing a suit. Oh, look at that businessman or businesswoman. Oh my God. Right? We see it all. We ain't stupid. You wear an orange jumpsuit, cats gonna be like, damn, you trying to look like you a prisoner. You trying to look like an inmate. You trying to look gangster, whatever it may be. And I've seen them all. Let's go real. Let's go to the racy ones. 6-inch heels, mini skirt, bra top. Oh, you a hoe. You a slut. You promiscuous something, right? And that gets a lot of people in trouble because I am not a hoe. I am not a slut, but I am wearing what they would wear. That's what we generalize. That's what you typically saw. So me living in LA, dressing like a gangster, but not being a gangster, couldn't really attribute that to racism. What can you attribute it to? Well, human beings are wired a few ways, but one of them is that we're wired to generalize, to protect ourselves. How did we get wired that way? Well, we didn't have the information we have now, even 30 years ago, let alone 3,000 years ago. You remember? Like before the internet, you just be at the red light and had to look at the car next to you, and that was it. Now you're at the red light. Shit, man, I'm about to see what's happening in Japan, right? On that phone. That wasn't even 30 years ago you could do that, right? Let alone 3,000 years ago, you could go outside, hello, anybody. You wait for your echo and be like, that's somebody. You hear your echo and think that was somebody else. Nah, fool, you by yourself out there. So you generalize. Because I ain't got time to meet each and every one of you. You generalize. I ain't got time to go into the group and find out the nice guy from the bad guy. Whatever you wear, that's why symbols were so pertinent back in the day. Symbols, they used to draw everything. Everything was symbolic. Why? I'm trying to let you know who I am. I'm representing this, that, this, or that. That's it. So when I read this story, I was like, it just sounds like some generalization actually in protection. I didn't take it as racist. Only thing that can make you take it as racist is a white person said it. But what happens when a white person and a black person says the exact same thing? Why is one deemed racist and one not? Right? I grew up with a lot of black people clowning me, dissing me. It wasn't racism. But then white people said the same thing sometimes. Was that racism? Why? Why is that racism when a black person told me the same damn thing for the same reason, I assume? Ah, man, that's crazy. I mean, look, it was already a complicated matter. He was adopted, which is unfortunate, but hey, make the best of it, right? Then you had interracial adoption, like your parents are white and you're black. Mm? Only in America do we mix race and culture intimately and this great, like greater than any other country. Like most countries don't even attempt it. Like look, y'all stay over there, y'all stay over there. Your race over there, your culture over there. Do not try to integrate those things, right? But that's why I love America. That's why you guys all love America. You're here, right? At least some of y'all. I got audiences everywhere, but I'm just saying, like that attempt, that ambition, that aspiration is what we all love about America. It's like, nah, dog, we're gonna be a real melting pot. That's what it's called. Like properly defined, all those mixes of race and culture is a melting pot. Got love for it, right? But let's just be careful. Every time we throw around racism, like go a little deeper before you put that big R scarlet letter on somebody, because maybe it's something else. I always thought growing up, when I saw somebody looking like something, that they could have been that, but let me get to know them to know who they really are. Because if not, I was judged as being A, B, and C just based on that generalization. Oh, he's just a thug. Look at him, big old black little dude. Sagging. I used to sag. I used to say the N-word, sag, khakis, Cortez on. I looked the part. My mama and daddy used to check me. Dog, you doing too much. You looking like a little gangster. Was I gangster? Nah. Were they racist? Nah.